Welcome to TrulyFit, the online fitness marketplace connecting pros and clients through unique fitness business software.
Welcome to the TrulyFit Podcast. Thanks for joining. Why don't you give the listeners a bio of who you are and what you do in the world of fitness?
Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be here virtually talking with all of you. So my name's Stevie Griffin. I am from Louisville, Kentucky. So I am a personal trainer, a coach at F45 in Louisville. So when it comes to kind of my bio in fitness, it's actually relatively newer. So I think I have a different perspective. I also have listened to a lot of different podcasts that you've put out. And I know there's been a ton of super experienced people. So I think F45 is actually the first job I had in the fitness industry. And I'm only 21. So I'm kind of freshly new of all of this. But so I can kind of give everybody a little bit of insight on kind of stepping into this world for the first time.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing too, because you don't come with any preconceived notions of things, right? There's a blessing and a curse to being in the industry since, let's say, a 1980 or something. You've seen it all, but you're also maybe stuck in your ways and you believe the things from the past. So, being new to the industry, you bring a different perspective, which is a good thing.
Exactly. So kind of going off what you asked to more about me, I guess, in a sense, I was a competitive cheerleader my whole life. So I kind of had that background. I cheered at gym time in Louisville. My actually goal was to be a U of L cheerleader until I kind of discovered a different love for musical theater and being on stage. So I kind of took a different direction with that, but kind of staying active was always something that was a part of my life. But when it came to actually like working out in a gym or being in that type of facility, it was something that I wasn't familiar with at all. So I went through a really difficult time, which I know a lot of people can relate to during COVID and during the lockdown. So I kind of picked up a lot of unhealthy habits, per se. I was not moving my body. I was not staying active. That was something that kind of completely disappeared in my life. And I could tell that it had transformed not just my body physically, but also mentally. It was something that was really difficult. And so it wasn't until about, I would say, when things started slowly opening back up, but lockdown wasn't completely over, that I decided to kind of take a tour of Louisville and work out at a crazy amount of different facilities in the area. So I kind of have an insight into like a comparison between all of them, which is pretty cool. But F45 was actually the last place that I decided to try. And when I say it literally changed my life, I do not say that lightly. It was a whole different world the second I stepped in that room, and the way I felt after the workout was uncomparable. So that's kind of where I started. Literally about 2 years ago is when I actually started, I guess, working out in a sense. So it's
as fate would have it, it's always the last place you try that becomes the thing you cling to. And I want to talk a little bit more eventually about your stage presence and how that helps with your business. We're going to get to that. But first, I want to just go over exactly what F45 is. Can you explain from a layman's perspective? And I want you to actually explain it, not to the personal training audience, although this is a personal training audience, but first explain it if your grandmother was sitting down at the table and saying, what exactly is F45, and give a really general layman's description.
Yes. So F45, the F stands for functional training. And then the 45 stands for the amount of time that you are in the gym training. And so those 45 minutes absolutely fly by. That was something that I actually fell in love with. Just like, you can get such an amazing workout in 45 minutes. But basically that is what F45 stands for. But F45 It's an Australian-based franchise. So like you said, it was not in the States until recently, but now we have over 1,700 studios across 45 countries. So it's grown so quick. I know so many people have heard about it, which is absolutely amazing in my opinion. But basically F45, very much plyometric movements. You're going to see a different variety of cardio, of hybrid, of strength training. You're going to get a little bit of everything, which I think you don't see at a lot of different studios. F45 is really aimed towards just finding in that everyday movement that people like to say. So you can be in any sort of fitness level and come into F45 and find your place. And I think that's what's so cool about it. But to give that's kind of my basic description.
Okay. So it's for all demographics. You would say it's functional movement. It's 45 minutes. It is more of a group class, right? There's an instructor like yourself who's leading the way. We went over that. It was founded in Australia. Can you tell me a little bit about like a customer experience? So I walk in, it's my first day in the class. What are you as the instructor telling me, the client or the customer?
Well, we immediately ask, how did you hear about us? That's the first one. We love to hear just how people find, these places. And for us, oftentimes it's always like, they have a friend, they know someone that goes to F45, whether that's in Florida, California, Chicago, and people just hear about us and then they'll come in. And basically it is set up where we have a different amount of stations each class. So it really depends on which class you're going to. So today was a hybrid class and we had 6 different stations. And we actually had 10 sets at each station. So it was a lot of time spent in one area, which on a Saturday, you could have 28 stations and have 2 sets at each station. So it kind of just depends. But what's awesome about our coaches as well is we are given these workouts beforehand. F45 actually has a program. They create everything for us. Just us as coaches have to make sure that we are well informed on what we are providing for our members and that we give them the best experience possible. But when it comes to the actual workout, that is done. F45 has that all set out, which has actually been very beneficial for me, being this is my first job as a personal trainer. I'm able to go into this setting and kind of have everything there for me so I can also learn from F45 as a company. So whenever a member comes in, we will guide them through everything. We literally take them by the hand as soon as they step in the door. We will take them over to put all their things situated. We will take them over to the floor where they will be with all the other members. We usually try to find a member that we know has been there for a while so that they can kind of have someone that knows, how it's set up, what they're doing exactly when it comes to just moving from station to station around the room. We want to make sure that, especially for our new members, that they just feel so welcomed. And that was exactly what I needed stepping into F45 for the first time as well. And what I got from the coaches is they immediately want to know everything about you. They want to know why you're here. They want to make sure that you are getting exactly what you need out of this, because sometimes people just want to come and they just want to move. They just want to move their body and they want to feel good. And we're going to provide that experience for them. And then some people, we have athletes, we have U of L football players that come and train and they walk in and they're ready to work. And we want to push them to, what they're capable of. And so it's just finding out exactly why that member's there and just kind of really making sure that we give them exactly what they need and what they want out of their.
I think it's great that F45 builds these workout plans for you trainers in advance, especially a young trainer who's 21, who may have never had the chance to shadow or go into a gym or have, 3, 4, 5,000 hours of work in building these things, because it allows you to see what works and what doesn't work. It allows you to pick up exercises to say, you know what, I like that exercise. I can maybe do that with my individual personal training client that I have on Saturdays in the park, or, you know what, that's not a good exercise, and see all the different things. I think that's an important part when you join a staff for the first time, is that they're able to help you grow. And that's very important. And I'm glad F45 does that. I didn't know that.
It's probably anytime I talk to any of the coaches, that's the number one thing they say. We have a lot of different coaches that have come from different areas. They have coached at different studios, and it's not necessarily that there is stress or weight on creating workouts, because that's exactly what we're doing with, like you said, one-on-one with our clients outside of the gym. But it's just being able to go into that environment and to know, like, this works. This works. It's worked for me. I have been an active member at F45 for the past 2 years, and kind of going on a tangent here a little bit, but I didn't know I wanted to do this before going into and being a member at F45. And it was because that I knew, and I knew those workouts worked. I knew that it was transforming my body like I had never seen. And I believed in the company. And I think that that's so important as a trainer in general, wherever you're coaching, is that you need to believe in where you're at. You need to believe in the environment, in the other coaching staff, and in the workouts yourself, in order to really give those members that amazing experience. So I think F45 does a really good job of grabbing on to coaches that have been members for a while, because they really want the people to see, like, this does work. Like, we believe in it, so you should too. So
I want to go back to the actual classes themselves. So in my mind, maybe you talked about a little bit of like the circuit training. Are these all time-based, or these numbers-based? So let's say there's a station and they're doing some sort of plyo, burpee, push-up to jump exercise. And maybe there's 3 or 4 people at that individual station. Are they doing that for 45 seconds? Or are they doing that for 10 repetitions? Or does it change based upon day-to-day classes?
So it is time-based. So it does depend on the workout itself, what that time looks like. Mm-hmm. We do make sure that we are telling our members, okay, in this 45-second set, if it is a strength class, we want to hit 12 reps. We try to provide that before class as a coach. Not necessarily does F45 have it on the screens that you need to, you need to hit 12 reps, but that's just something as coaches to be like, all right, this is what we're aiming for. If you want to exceed that and challenge yourself, maybe do a couple more here, 14, 15, or if maybe you want to take a step back and you're not there yet and just focus on the time at hand and really just focus on the movements that are given, feel free to do that as well. But yes, it is time-based. So we have a lot of challenging timing, especially today. So today was, like I said, 10 sets. So you had 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, 22 seconds on, 10 seconds off, 24 seconds on, 10 seconds off, 26, 10 seconds off, 28, 10 seconds off. And then you got that 30 seconds of rest and you would repeat. So it is constant movement, which makes the 45 minutes fly by. So I really do love the timing of it, for sure.
Yeah, time-based is very important. People have heard me on this podcast probably, and I talk about it in my book, actually, harp about this a lot, but time-based is very important for group classes. The main reason why is because if you're instructing multiple people and you need to be cueing on certain things, right? So let's go ahead and say they're squatting and they're too far up on their toes and their form is bad, right? Or they're doing a plank and their hips are sinking in. If people have to count during that time, whether it's the trainer themselves or the person, they're not necessarily paying attention to the form. You're not available to cue in the way one should be cueing a person. So it's very important that I, as a personal trainer, know I'm going into a group class that's time-based and not repetition-based. So I'm glad to hear that. Can you tell me about the maximum or minimum class sizes? Do they have that?
So yes, I believe that it depends on the studio, because some are a bit larger than others, but for us, it is 36 people. And a minimum class size, I would say it really depends. We're very lucky. We have around 400 members almost at this point. So our classes are full most of the time.
Nice.
Even at 5 a.m. You're getting about 36 people in there. So it's pretty awesome to see it. People love it.
What is the pricing, and is it commiserate with industry standard? Are we talking $10 a class, $15 a class, $25 a class? And and this might be hard for you to answer, but do you believe that more people are buying individual classes, or are most of your members like a month or an annual sort of member?
Well, I was actually really interested to know this as well, because I didn't know personally when I started. I think the pricing has changed a little bit, but I am up to date on that. I do believe that people mostly do the unlimited package. So they are getting in there pretty much 5 to 6 days a week. And I think what people underestimate is not to throw any other studios under the bus or anything, but we do have people that come from different places like Orange Theory and different studios in the area that have come, and they want to buy the individual classes. And so we don't question them at all, but I think that they realize almost right away that they end up gravitating towards the unlimited option, just because F45, just the classes in general, you'll start to realize that it's addicting. It is. You get in there and you want to come back. And so I think that a lot of our members realize that. So I will say that I think unlimited is more popular than the individual. For us, I don't know if you want me to get into kind of like the pricing specifically, if you want me to
if you have any specific prices as far as, like what one class would cost as opposed to, a monthly or an unlimited package, sure. Yeah, you can throw those out.
So for limited, we have a family plan, which is incredible because I don't know a lot of other studios that have that, but it is $99 a month for the unlimited classes. So if you even just have 2 people that sign up together, it will be $99 a month. And then if you want to do it solo, then it's $139 for unlimited a month. And then when it comes to individual classes, we do provide our 3 free day trial, which is awesome because it gives the members an opportunity to kind of see, where they're at, if this is something that they are going to enjoy. And then from then on, our individual classes, I believe, is $15. So it's pretty normal across the board, especially if you're signing up through MindBody or more of a generic platform like that. It is going to be around 15.
Yeah, that sounds completely industry standard, maybe even a little bit better than industry standard. Obviously, if you're going to go with the family package, which again is something that I'm not familiar with that a lot of studios run, so that is an advantage. Now that we've covered a lot of things from the layman's perspective. If I was maybe a general population and I want to learn about F45, but let's delve a little bit further into the trainer's perspective. If I am a trainer, how do I become an F45 instructor? What is the process like of me applying and then going through the interview, and walk us through that process?
Right. So like I said, I do think that everybody's experience is going to be a tad bit different. For me specifically, it was me becoming a member and then slowly progressing into that trainer position. So I really did voice my interest about 6 months into being at F45 to the owners. And I was just very forward. I was not afraid. I put my best foot forward and I said, this is something that I think I could see myself doing in the future. What exactly do I need to do to prepare for this? So for anyone listening that is kind of in a position where they are looking to take that step, I would immediately reach out and just ask that question. What do I need to do to be a coach here? So for me specifically, I was getting my personal training certification at the time. So finishing up that for sure. And then also just becoming very familiar with how F45 runs. So I wanted to know from the back end, from the front end, from a client perspective, and then also from shadowing the coaches at F45, exactly what it looked like. So for me, it was a lot of shadowing. I spent a couple months going to different classes, and I was able to just watch the trainers. And that was something that I voluntarily did. I asked if I could do that because I just wanted to show that this is something that I'm very interested in. And they were absolutely amazing to just grab me under their wing and allow me to do that. So I started off there, and then I got my personal training certification. And then after that, I just slowly but surely kind of got myself to a position where I was comfortable. And like we'll probably get into, I don't think a lot of people realize the pressure of coaching and being in front of people and really being confident in what you're doing, especially at 21 years old, when most of our members are, 30, 40 plus. It can be intimidating, but that was mostly my process. I know other people, it is fairly different. I have seen it where there is actually internships where they're able to intern at different F45 locations and then become a trainer that way. I just think it's really cool how we do it though, because there is multiple of us that started off as members and just progressed into the position we are now.
Well, kudos to you for not only shadowing, but going about shadowing in the fashion that you did, where you asked to shadow, you weren't forced to shadow, because I talk about that in my book, The Fitness Business 101. It is the most important growth tool that you can use, is to shadow other fitness professionals, because it's not only about what you learn and you like, it's about what you don't like, right? So you might have shadowed 7 people and you go, you know what, I really liked how Molly teaches, but I don't like how Ben teaches because Ben's a little bit too aggressive, or Ben doesn't have the modifications, or whatever it is. So being able to see a plethora of people, then stealing tips and tricks from the ones that you think that you're stylistically similar to, or that you can learn from, and then maybe learning what not to do from other people, is so important. And I think nowadays, with this virtual system that we can train online, you have people who come get, let's say, their National Academy of Sports Medicine certification, and then day one, they want to start training online. The problem with that is, if I'm the trainer and I'm training somebody, I am the most knowledgeable I'm the most knowledgeable person in this room, right? Me as the trainer, not the person, but I don't have anyone else to learn from. So everything that I say to my client is going to believe me wholeheartedly, and I don't have any room for growth. You need to be on the floor with people who know more than you so that you can learn. So again, kudos to you for stepping outside the box and saying, you know what, I don't care that I don't need to do this. I want to do this.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, just being able to see the different coaches, and online has become so prevalent, and something that obviously is hopefully in my future, but I also know now that I am learning, I am growing, I am younger. Even if I wasn't younger, just being new in this industry, just being able to find your groove, that I'm so excited to kind of see where that takes me.
Yeah. Again, you never want to be the smartest or, the eldest person in the room. You want somebody above you that you can learn from, or else you're not going to have continued growth. So it is fantastic on you for doing that. So I want to jump into it. I mentioned it earlier, modifications. Are you modifying the movements? Are you expected to modify the movements? You did say that they're writing out the workouts for you. So if somebody comes in and let's say you have Molly, who is 48 years old, and she's got low back pain, and she's in her first F45 class, and you have to hold some sort of difficult plank movement and she can't do it. Are you expected, Stevie, to give her modifications?
I would not say that we are expected, but it is highly encouraged to have that prepared. And for me, especially when I was just getting into fitness, I wanted someone that was going to give me that option. And so I learned, just like we were talking about, from the other coaches that would always provide modifications before every workout. As in the beginning of class, what we do is there is TV screens. So there is screens with all of the workouts basically shown for you there. And then they do not provide, F45 does not provide the modifications, but we as trainers, especially at our location in Louisville, we think it's necessary. So we will provide those modifications right off the bat, even if we had a room full of athletes that most likely didn't need to hear any modifications at all. We definitely want to do that. And I'm also glad that our members are comfortable enough to vocalize if they need more assistance. I've never seen one of our members be afraid to even speak up and say, hey, I don't even think I can do the modification that was given. Can we do XYZ, or can I, go just ride the bike for this set? Whatever they need to do, we really want to make sure that we give them what I said earlier, just the good experience that they are wanting. So yes, we do provide modifications, especially at our location specifically.
Now, you mentioned earlier, Stevie, that you had some experience on stage. I believe that was with pageants. I'm not sure if you're still doing that. Can you talk about how you believe that helped you transition into your career at F45?
Right. I am still doing pageants. It was something that I don't know if I would have even considered doing this if I didn't have that background. Not saying anyone, needs to do pageants to be able to be a fitness instructor, but it was something that just allowed me to find what I was passionate in, first off. And that was taking care of myself, both mentally and physically. So when it comes to the pageant itself, not only did the stage presence help, and being on stage and being in front of hundreds, sometimes thousands of people at a time, that allowed me to feel more comfortable in a room full of people. But it was different. At first, it was really different because when you're on stage, you don't see anybody. So it's very much a solo performance where the lights are shining on you and you don't see any face in the room. But what was cool about stepping into this coaching position and being in the front of the room was that I saw every single face. And I say cool because at first I was absolutely terrified. And then I immediately switched my mindset and I was like, this is amazing. Like, to see these people in the studio smiling when they're about to do probably the hardest 45-minute workout of their life, if I'm being honest. And they're smiling and they're happy to be there. And it's such a rewarding feeling that I don't think I necessarily got from pageants. So it was like, yes, I was terrified at first because I was seeing all of these faces, but then it just turned into something so much cooler. And because of pageants, we have to compete in swimsuit. We have to stand on stage and feel our absolute best. And to me, that was never how I looked in a swimsuit. It was about how I felt. And for the longest time, I didn't feel like I felt good. And until I kind of started training at F45 and I was getting immersed in this environment and I was learning so much about myself that I stand on stage and I feel so empowered. So it definitely did help in that sense.
I can't say that group fitness is harder than personal training because they're different, but what I can say is it's more exhausting. You have to be on, right? You have to be entertaining. There's so much going on at all times. I believe it's important for all personal trainers to at least try group fitness, do some sort of group fitness. It might not be for you, but try it and see. And why I say that is because I talk about in my book, there's kind of two different personalities in the personal training business. You have people who are more direct. They are very science-based. So they can look at a body and say, you know what, I see that you have knee valgus and you have bad posture and you have tight pecs and your shoulders rolling forward. And they can assess the body. They're very mathematical and scientific. And then you have people who are a bit more of a dynamic personality and they put on a good show and they pump people up and they get people to believe in themselves and they get people energized. And it's okay to be either one, right? Either one can work in the fitness industry, but knowing who you are and then finding a job that really helps accentuate those skill sets is important to be successful in personal training. So I've seen people who try to go the wrong route, who are very monotone. They understand the body way better than I could ever understand the body, but they try to get into group training, group classes, and it's just not for them. And vice versa. I see people who want to do this, but they just don't have the mind to, let's say, work with somebody who is 76 years old and has bilateral hip replacement because they don't understand the anatomical nature of what's going on. So you have to find what's best for you. And it seems like you did exactly that.
Right. And that is so true to the T. And I honestly kind of have trouble putting exactly what you said into words, but it was what I felt. And I know for myself, and anyone listening that kind of can relate to this, is that I knew what I needed in a coach, whether that be in front of 30 people in a room or as a personal trainer. And that's what I wanted to be for my members. And that doesn't mean that I am going to connect with every single person, because there are going to be people that obviously are going to be gravitating towards a different style or a different trainer in a sense. But for me, I knew what I wanted in a trainer, and that's what I wanted to give to my members. So for me, I am definitely on the more of the playing field of, I love to be everyone's cheerleader. I love to stand in front of a room and pump up the room and bring the energy. And that's exactly what I wanted in a trainer. So everyone has their preferences. Everybody, like, you know, even when it comes to, that's why you get to choose your personal trainers. That's why you get to kind of, especially being a client.
Stevie, can you talk to me about what makes F45 different, comparatively speaking, to, let's say, a Barry's Boot Camp or an Orange Theory? Even if you haven't been to these, what do you believe makes it different?
There are multiple things, but for me, F45 really prides themselves in that we have thousands of different exercises, thousands of different workouts that you will never see the same one twice. So you walk into a room and it's almost like Christmas every day. You don't know what you're going to get. It's like open a present and kind of figuring it out once you get there. But I think that that's really what they pride themselves in, that separates us from different studios. But on a personal note, and more so as a member, I was able to try multiple different facilities. I was able to go to an Orange Theory. I was able to go to Barry's. I've been to Shred 415. I don't know if you've heard of that. I've been to multiple, and everyone has their niche. And definitely, it wasn't necessarily that anyone was better. But when I went to F45, it was the environment that completely stood out to me. And it was the way that everyone around you made you feel. I felt so comfortable, and I wasn't. I had no experience going into F45 that I felt so comfortable. So just allowing anyone from any background, whether you are an athlete or we actually have a 76-year-old member who comes and everyone feels like they have a place. And so I think that's really what separates us from all of the different facilities around, but also just the workout's hard. It's the hardest thing I have ever done. And if you haven't tried it, you all definitely need to hit up an F45, because it is probably going to be one of the harder 45 minutes of your life.
I know you can't answer this for F45 in general, but for your particular location, do you have a sense on how many of those employees, the trainers or coaches, whatever you call them, are actually certified personal trainers versus people who just went for the job?
Right. I definitely don't know personally, speaking for the company as a whole, but I will say that every single coach that I have talked to has some sort of background in fitness, whether that be they actually went to school and have an exercise science degree, or, you know, they have their ACE certified personal training license, they have their group fitness license, or they genuinely just love fitness and they have gotten themselves to this point. And honestly, you can't tell the difference. And that's kind of the best part about walking into our facility in general is I couldn't tell you if anyone was not certified, because everyone is so well informed and they know what they're doing. And that, I think, is just the most important part. But as F45 as a whole, I'm not sure. I believe that most everyone is certified. I believe so.
Stevie, where can the audience reach out to you personally? They can find maybe your links, or if I have a personal trainer who wants to reach out to you to say, hey, I'm thinking about joining F45 as either a customer, or maybe I want to apply for the job. Do you think I should do A, B, or C? Where's the best place to find everything Stevie Griffin?
So you can find me at Stevie Ann Griffin on Instagram. You can also find me on Facebook, Stevie Ann Griffin, Twitter, Stevie Ann Griffin, all the social media, Stevie Ann Griffin. And then in my link, in my bio on Instagram, I do have a website. You can kind of find more information about me. I also just blog a little bit on there, which is super cool. So if you want to check that out and read that, you can as well. But definitely go find me on Instagram. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions regarding F45 or just being a newer trainer in general. I am here and happy to help. I know it can be very stressful at first, but I promise you, you get over that. And it's just the most amazing community of people to be a part of. So you have a lot of things to be excited about.
My guest today has been F45 coach Stevie Griffin. Stevie, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.